The year is 222 AD, and the city of Rome is a cauldron of political intrigue and simmering resentment. The reign of the eccentric and controversial Emperor Elagabalus has reached its bloody and inevitable conclusion. He lies slain, a victim of the very Praetorian Guard who were sworn to protect him. The halls of the imperial palace are stained with the memory of his excesses and the shock of his demise. Out of this chaos, a new emperor must rise to claim the purple. The choice falls upon a young boy, barely a man, named Severus Alexander. He is the cousin of the fallen Elagabalus, a connection that is both a blessing and a curse. At only 13 years of age, he is thrust onto the most powerful throne in the world. The weight of the Roman Empire now rests upon his slender shoulders. But Alexander is not alone in this monumental task. Standing beside him, a formidable figure of ambition and intelligence, is his mother, Julia Mamaea. She is the younger daughter of the great Julia Mamaea, the true architect of the Severan dynasty's continuation. Mamaea has witnessed the disastrous reign of her nephew Elagabalus and is determined to avoid his mistakes. She understands that true power does not always require a title. With her son as the public face of the empire, Julia Mamaea becomes the de facto ruler of Rome. Her official title is Augusta, Empress, but her influence stretches far beyond mere ceremony. She establishes a Regency council to guide the young emperor, a move designed to placate the suspicious Senate. This council is composed of 16 distinguished senators, chosen for their experience and loyalty. However, the true center of power remains the imperial palace, and within it, Julia Mamaea herself. One of her first and most crucial allies is the brilliant jurist Domitius Ulpianus, known to history as Ulpian. Mamaea appoints Ulpian as the head of the Praetorian Guard, a position of immense power and danger. This move is intended to bring the notoriously unruly guards under firm civilian control. Ulpian also serves as the emperor's personal tutor and chief advisor. Together, Mamaea and Ulpian embark on a program of legal and financial reform. They strive to restore the prestige and authority of the Senate, which had been eroded under previous emperors. Taxes are managed with greater prudence, and the state's finances are carefully audited. Mamaea herself is known for her frugality, a stark contrast to the lavish spending of Elagabalus. She is careful to cultivate an image of traditional Roman virtue and modesty. The early years of Alexander's reign are marked by peace and a sense of renewed stability. The people of Rome, weary of chaos, welcome the calm and order. The legal system is refined, with Ulpian's genius shaping new, more equitable laws. His writings from this period would form a cornerstone of Roman jurisprudence for centuries to come. But this period of tranquility is not destined to last. The alliance between Mamaea and Ulpian creates powerful enemies. The Praetorian Guard, in particular, resents Ulpian's strict discipline and his civilian status. They see his authority as an affront to their martial pride and their accustomed privileges. The soldiers long for the days of generous donatives and lax oversight. Tensions within the city begin to mount, a low hum of discontent beneath the surface of peace. The situation finally explodes in a violent confrontation. A mob, likely instigated by the Praetorians, rises up against Ulpian. For 3 days, the city is racked by street fighting between the populace and the guards. Ulpian, the brilliant legal mind, finds himself a hunted man in his own city. He seeks refuge in the imperial palace, the last sanctuary available to him. He appeals directly to the emperor and his mother for protection. But even the sanctity of the palace cannot save him. The rebellious Praetorian Guard storms the palace, their loyalty to the emperor forgotten. They find Ulpian and cut him down in the very presence of the emperor he served. The murder of Ulpian is a devastating blow to Julia Mamaea's authority. It demonstrates the brutal reality that the military, not the law, holds the ultimate power in Rome. She is unable to punish the murderers, a clear sign of her weakened position. The Regency must now proceed with a constant awareness of the army's fickle loyalties. As Alexander grows older, his mother continues to dominate his decisions. She arranges his marriage to Sallustia Orbiana, the daughter of a respected Roman noble. The wedding is a grand affair, meant to project an image of dynastic stability. Orbiana is granted the title of Augusta, a partner on the throne for Alexander. However, Julia Mamaea quickly grows jealous of the young empress. He cannot tolerate another woman holding influence over her son. The relationship between the two Augustus becomes a source of palace intrigue. Mamaea's resentment turns into open hostility. She accuses Orbiana's father, Gaius Sallustius, of treason. The charges are almost certainly fabricated, a pretext to remove a rival. Sallustius is executed, his family's honor destroyed. The young empress, Sallustia Orbiana, is stripped of her title and exiled from Rome. Alexander, devoted to his mother, is powerless to protect his own wife. This cruel act further cements Mamaea's reputation as a ruthless and domineering ruler. While Rome is consumed by internal politics, a new threat emerges on the eastern frontier. The Parthian Empire, a longtime rival of Rome, has fallen. In its place rises the aggressive and expansionist Sassanid Empire. Led by their ambitious king, Artashes, the Sassanids seek to restore the ancient glory of Persia. They invade the Roman province of Mesopotamia, challenging the empire's dominance in the east. The situation demands a military response from the emperor himself. In 232 AD, Emperor Alexander and his mother, Julia Mamaea, leave Rome for the east. It is the first time the young emperor will lead his armies in a major campaign. Mamaea, ever present, accompanies him, unwilling to relinquish her control even on the battlefield. The campaign against the Sassanids is a mixed affair, not a decisive victory. Romans suffer heavy losses, and the strategy is poorly coordinated. One Roman army is annihilated, another suffers from disease, and a third retreats without major engagement. However, the Sassanids also sustain significant casualties and are forced to halt their advance. Alexander and Mamaea declare a victory upon their return to Rome, a claim of political necessity. The emperor celebrates a triumph, but the army knows the truth of the costly campaign. The soldiers' respect for their young, bookish emperor begins to wane. They see him as a weak commander, dominated by his mother. No sooner has the eastern threat been contained than a new crisis erupts on the northern frontier. Germanic tribes, the Alemanni, have crossed the Rhine and Danube rivers, raiding Roman territory. Once again, the emperor and his mother must march with the legions. They establish a headquarters in Mogontiacum, modern-day Mainz, Germany. The army is composed largely of legions from the eastern campaign, including the Legio II Parthica, but these soldiers are already discontented and have little loyalty to Alexander. They admire strength and martial prowess, qualities they do not see in their emperor. Instead of preparing for a decisive battle, Julia Mamaea advises a different course of action. She convinces Alexander to try and buy peace from the Germanic tribes. This policy of paying tribute to enemies is seen as the ultimate dishonor by the Roman soldiers. To them, It is a sign of cowardice and weakness, an unforgivable insult to Roman pride. The army's simmering discontent boils over into open mutiny. The soldiers look for a new leader, a true warrior to command them. They find their champion in Maximinus Thrax, a giant of a man from a humble Thracian background. Maximinus is a commander who rose through the ranks on merit and battlefield valor. He is everything the soldiers feel Alexander is not: tough, decisive, and a true soldier. The legions in Germania proclaim Maximinus Thrax as the new emperor of Rome. The fate of Severus Alexander and his mother is now sealed. They are abandoned by their guards, left to face the wrath of the army they failed to command. A centurion, sent by Maximinus, enters the emperor's tent. He finds Alexander clinging to his mother, a final, desperate embrace. There is no mercy. Both son and mother are struck down, their 13-year reign ending in a brutal assassination. The year is 235 AD, and the Severan dynasty is extinguished forever. The death of Alexander marks the beginning of a new, terrible era for the Roman Empire. It is the start of the crisis of the 3rd century, a 50-year period of civil war, invasion, and chaos. Julia Mamaea's careful regency, designed to secure her family's power, had ultimately led to its complete destruction. Her ambition was both the making and the breaking of her son's reign. She had successfully placed him on the throne, a remarkable feat of political skill. Her initial reforms brought stability and a brief golden age to a troubled empire. She promoted justice and fiscal responsibility, earning the respect of the Senate. Her inability to let go of power proved to be a fatal flaw. Her jealousy destroyed her son's marriage and isolated him from potential allies. Her overbearing presence undermined Alexander's authority in the eyes of the army. She failed to understand the psychology of the common soldier. The soldiers craved a leader who had shared their hardships and bled on the battlefield. They did not respect a ruler who preferred diplomacy and tribute over warfare. Mamaea's final decision to bribe the Alemanni was the spark that lit the funeral pyre of her dynasty. History remembers her as a complex figure of immense talent and tragic error. She was a woman who ruled the most powerful empire on earth from the shadows. Her story is a testament to the precarious nature of power in the Roman world. It serves as a grim lesson on the dangers of ambition when untempered by wisdom. The Regency of Julia Mamaea was a bold attempt to steer the empire towards stability. For a time, it seemed as though she might succeed against all odds. The partnership with Ulpian was a high point of enlightened governance, but the deep-seated corruption and military insubordination were forces too strong to overcome. The Praetorian Guard's betrayal was a wound from which her authority never truly recovered. Her treatment of Orbiana revealed a personal weakness that had political consequences. The Eastern campaign was a gamble that did not pay off as hoped. It exposed the emperor's military inexperience to the entire army. The final march to Germania was a journey towards a predetermined fate. Maximinus Thrax was the antithesis of everything Mamaea had tried to cultivate in a ruler. He represented raw, brutal power, the very thing she had tried to tame with law and diplomacy. The accession of Maximinus was a victory for the barracks over the palace. The Senate was once again rendered powerless, its brief resurgence at an end. Rome was now to be ruled by a succession of soldier emperors, chosen and deposed by the legions. She flew too close to the sun, not on wings of wax, but on the fragile authority of a boy emperor. Her intelligence was undeniable, her political instincts sharp, but her maternal possessiveness was her undoing. The empire she sought to preserve would not know true stability again for half a century.